Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Let's Football Live. The fifth episode actually, and we've got a very special guest joining us today on the Indian Super League Instagram handle. Let me welcome all of you first of all on this Super Sunday. It promises to be a Super Sunday because of so many reasons. The guest who will be joining us today is fourth on the list of all-time top goal scorers in the Hero Indian Super League. He's the top goal scorer in the history of ATK Football Club. Has also plied his trade with Kerala Blasters and FC Pune City. He's got more hat-tricks in the Hero ISL than any other player. And he's somebody who's also put on the pundit's hat, apart from playing in England and playing for Canada as well. You know exactly who I'm talking about if you're a Kerala Blasters fan, if you're an ATK Football Club fan, and if you're even an FC Pune City fan. If you're an Indian football fan, you'll know a guy we affectionately call Mr. ISL, none other than Ian Hume. Let me try and get him on this conversation straight away. Yes, Black Story and everybody else, including Niban Kumar, has already spotted it. It is Ian Hume indeed, and Hume is online, so let me just quickly get him on. There he is, the big man himself. Hume.
Anand, how are you, bro?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. And, it's always a pleasure having you chat with us on any platform, whether it's on WhatsApp, it's in a studio, which is nice and air conditioned, or even if the, social distancing doesn't allow us to be any closer than this. But how's the lockdown treating you, Hume?
It's all right. It's a lot more time than everyone expected, but getting to spend time with the family and do some work around the house that I've been promising for years it's making it a lot easier to do now. But it is what it is. It's a tough situation for everybody at the minute, so we're just trying to make the most of it.
I can see Millsy's online as well. He's already called you a legend, which is exactly the perfect note to start this conversation on. But I'll jump straight to the first question, and because you've had such a great journey, Hume, a lot of people know about your Indian football journey, but Pranav 2672. And I'll jump straight to the question that he asked, which is my question to Humeton. And of course, you go by different names, Mr. ISL, Hume, Humeton. My question to Humeton is, what is the reason of you having sincere fans, including Pranav himself, in all the clubs that you've played? And he's given a variety of reasons why that could be so. But what do you see as the reason for why people love you so much and why Millsy misses you so much?
Well, Millsy, I know, misses me because I looked after him big time. No, but the fans thing, I give everything. It's the type of person and player I am. I'm moody off the field, but on the field and in training and everything, and I'd like to think you get the same response from majority of the players I've played with as well. As I'll give you everything I've got, and you're getting 100% from me regardless whether I'm playing well or playing poorly. Or okay, I've had quite a few of those poor ones, but you still got my heart on my sleeve, and I'm always going to be the same person and same type of player. And I think that's, as a football fan myself, it's something I respect when I watch a team I support. If they're having a bad day and they're running around giving everything they've got, you can't blame them. Whereas you get a lot of people who drag their heels and they just look like they're not interested. And I'm never, ever going to be that type of player and type of person. And I think that's something that's drawn the fans in. And I think I've had a good rapport with the fans at every club I've played for. So it's something I pride my career on. I've prided how I play.
And this journey started with Tranmere Rovers, didn't it, in 2000? I think when you turned professional, you got your first professional game under your belt. So Mohammed Fathin had a question, which is, you played for so many clubs across the world, which has been challenging, of course, to adapt for you as well. Just take us through your journey a little bit, Hume, because you're somebody who was born in the UK, but then went to Canada, played for Canada, but played a lot extensively in the UK as well before eventually coming to India.
Yeah, well, I've had my fair share of speed bumps and hiccups in my career. When I was in Canada, I was doing really well in the youth system and everything, and I had a couple chances to go professional. Like, I went on my first trials when I was 13, 14. And I went to Scotland twice with my mum, travelled over, went on trial with St Mirren. 1 year, did really well, got promised the world. And then they blanked me stopped answering phone calls, emails. Then the same thing a year later. Had my dream move, which would have been signing for Hearts in Scotland. Family's all Hearts fans and everything. Same thing. Went there, trained with the first team, trained with the reserve team, did well, played games. At 14 years old, same thing. They just blanked me. So it ended up being I went on a tour with a Canadian team to play a couple of games in England, and fortunately, like, we played against England schoolboys, played against Everton, and then we played against Tranmere, and I did really well against Tranmere, and they were a bit worried. They thought I was 18 because I was with an under-18 team, but I was only just 15. And they're like, "Oh, well, that's great, but he's Canadian. It'll be tough to get a work permit." And our coach said, "No, well, he's born in Scotland. He's got his UK passport." So right away, alarm bells ringing for them. They're like, "Okay, get my phone number, get my email addresses and whatever." And before I'd even landed back in Canada, they'd already called my mum and dad and said, "Listen, we want to have him over on trial." So within a couple months, I was coming back over on trial, and I went over to play in a tournament in France for the under 6 or the under 18s, and did really well. And after that, they decided, you know what, we need to bring this kid in. So that was the story. And 6 months after that, I was starting my first season with them. I moved over September '99.
Yeah, and that's as amazing as it gets. But you know, a lot of people have also asked, not just in the lead up to this session of Let's Football Live, but even before that, a lot of times when we go to stadiums, what's with the scarf that Ian Hume has? And I mean, I know the reason, because obviously you've told us a couple of times before, but I'm sure a lot of fans would want to know, because we see the Ian Hume who fights, who covers every blade of grass, who puts in his 120% in every single game that he's been a part of. But it comes from a lot of hardships that you faced and a lot of setbacks that you've had, including that you had when you were playing for Barnsley, I think it was.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's like I said to you earlier, it's a part of my story. I went in for a challenge with the centre half. I got elbowed in the temple, and lo and behold, it broke the bone. Didn't know at the time. I thought it was just concussion. Everyone did. Rightfully or wrongfully, I was sent home with concussion. I wasn't sent to the hospital, which ended up being a massive mistake on the medical side of things. But it is what it is. It's found out that a couple of days later, or a day and a half later, that I had a fractured skull, and ended up getting rushed in for surgery. And thankfully, the people at Salford Royal, but at the time it was Hope Hospital in Salford by Manchester, ended up saving my life. They said if I'd have left the hospital, I probably wouldn't have made it. So it was blessings, but thankfully everything worked out, and that was about 350 games ago, and 12 coming up 12 years.
Yeah, and if I'm right, that the moment you got back from injury, the first attempt that you had on goal and you almost scored was almost a header. So that just tells you a thing or two about the Ian Hume that we know.
Yeah, a bit daft, isn't it? No, well, even my first day training, the manager at the time, I had to annoy him for hours or days about letting me get involved in training, because I'd done everything I could possibly do without actually training. So he finally let me get involved, and the first thing I did was in a little 5v2. One of the guys tried to flick it over me in the middle, and I jumped and headed it. And the gaffer blows his whistle, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell are you doing? What's going on here? I told you not to head the ball. Told you to take it easy." I'm like, "Listen, it was one of those things." But then my first game back was one of the last games of pre-season, the following season, and I came on. I was only expecting to play maybe 5 minutes. And he brought me on with about 20 minutes to go. And the ball's gone out for a corner, and it's come in, and I've just gone up, won the header. And I think that was, for me, the most refreshing part of anything, was in a 50-50 in an environment where there's battles going on that I didn't even think twice about it. So as soon as that happened, I knew it was a matter of just got to get my match fitness now. The season's about to start.
See, a lot of people are already saying, come back to KBFC, please. I can see a lot of fans. KBFC Manjapur have also logged in, by the way, and they're saying, Coach Hume soon. You spoke about the gaffer who was telling you not to head the ball or, to go for the challenge like that. Stankovic is online as well. Hi, Marco, if you can hear us. And he's got hearts in the eyes for Hume. Unsurprisingly so as well.
Yeah, what a guy.
Also, if I could just ask you to speak a bit louder, Hume, just so that we have the right levels. It could be my earpiece as well. Zainab had a question about, if you have a special routine or a superstition before any game, and you've been playing for such a long time, is there something in particular that you do that you might want to share with the fans today if they don't know already, without giving too much away to the opposition?
Oh, nothing that the opposition can do can change what I do before a game. It's no, I'm a bit meticulous with what I do before I go. For the most part of a season, to be honest. If I'm on a coach, I have a seat on the team bus. I have a seat that I sit in all the time. It got ruffled a little bit when Millsy joined Pune because he wanted to sit next to me. Being a top man and all that, he kind of ruined my flow. But now I always want to sit in the same seat for the whole season, whether it's going to training, whether it's going to games. And then when I go to games, we covered this when we had the talk the other day with Sandesh, when I walk into the change room, first thing I do is set out my boots. I have my match boots, my studs are on one side with my shin pads. Then I have my moldies, which I might wear in the match. And then I have my warm-up boots. I always warm up in different boots. And then I clip my toenails every single game, regardless whether it's 2 days apart, 10 days apart. Clip my toenails, file my feet. Just got to look after the tools a little bit. So it's just something I've always done. And then it's always, when I get my kit on, it's left foot first, right foot first, everything. Cut my toenails, it's left foot first, right foot first. I don't know why. It's just something I've always done. And I've got the same undersocks that I wear underneath my match socks, which I've had for, sad to say, I think I've had the same undersocks the whole ISL.
Wow.
So they do get a bit of a beating, but they're well looked after. Again, they get washed, they get returned, they get packed in my match bag, and I've always got to be the last out the change room. It's something I've always done. It's mad because playing with Canada, one of my best mates, I've known him since we were 7 years old. Atiba Hutchinson plays for Besiktas now. We've got the same routines, so we always want to be the last out the change room, last in the lineup going on the field. So that's the only time I'll give it up is for him. Is we go like first half, second half, or vice versa. But other than that, it's always been the same. I've got these routines, which it's not so much nerves or anything. It's just something that I've already got my mindset ready for the game. So as soon as I do this, these certain things set the pathway for how I feel the game's going to go. And if it's mad, I know it's all psychological, but if one thing is out of line, it ends up getting in my head and I end up thinking too much about, oh, well, I didn't do this right. I didn't do this properly. Well, this is... So then all of a sudden I overthink the game. Whereas when I have all this stuff in all my ducks in a row, then that's me set for the game. I know that, you know what, this is it. This is everything's right. Let's just go. Let's just get it. And I know people say it's a bit anal, but it's what it is. It's how about the way I approach the game, and I have to have this mindset. And I think that's been possibly one of my successes in my career.
Certainly hasn't stopped Luis Garcia from joining this conversation and saying top man to you. And he also said the left foot is actually only to get onto the bus. So he's given you a piece of advice there from his experience of having watched you closely.
Hey, no, it's one of those things. I don't even know why the whole left foot is in the mix there. It's just something that's always happened, and it's something that I can remember as something I've always done through my career.
Fantastic. Now, speaking of Luis Garcia and the Hero ISL, of course, you had to bear the ignominy of finishing second best to Luis Garcia's team in the first season. But before even that happened, Hume, was the international players draft. What made the move, come to fruition as far as coming to India was concerned, and what in your head told you that this is the right step for me and the next step for me?
To be honest, it was the first time in my career I was out of contract. So for 13, 14 years, I'd never been out of contract. So it came to, there was a couple seasons where I was at Doncaster on loan and Preston North End, and then I went on loan to Fleetwood, and I had a couple promises of offers of Doncaster offered me a contract, went on holiday, came back, and they're like, oh, well,
yeah,
it's not there anymore. Well, thanks very much. So went back to Preston the next season, and I finished off the season with Fleetwood, and they ended up offering me less money than they were paying me on loan, which for me, I didn't seem right after getting promotion. So I just thought it's time for an adventure, and I did an interview. It was when Leicester City got promoted to the Premier League, and I did an interview with a mate, Andy May, who does a lot of stuff for beIN Sports and BT. And it was about Leicester getting promoted, but it was like sort of a freelance for a Canadian TV company. So it was perfect. The Canadian that's played for Leicester, let's have a chat with him. So he'd actually been offered a job out to work with the ISL, but he couldn't do it because of commitments elsewhere. So he just said, oh, well, how about you? Have you been told about this league that's starting up? And I'd never heard anything about it, to be honest. And he goes, well, here, call this guy. And he passed me a guy from IMG. And so I give him a call. And, well, I spoke to the wife. And she's like, well, give him a call and see. It only runs until Christmas, so let's see how it goes. So I give him a call, and he's like, oh, we'd love it. We'd love to have, we don't have a Canadian player. We've got all these Spanish players, Brazilians, blah, blah, blah. We don't have a Canadian player. So I said, well, throw my name in the mix. So the league came back, said, yes, 100%, we'd love to have him. Next thing I know, they said, okay, well, the draft is in a couple days. Your name is in the hat. Let's see what happens. And we didn't have any other contact until the morning after the draft. And I wake up to, you've been drafted to Kerala Blasters, and you same team as your coach and marquee player will be David James, and you've got Michael Chopra was the first overall. You were first in the second round. So that's how it came about. And then all of a sudden they started adding other players to it, and they added Jamie McAllister, who I'd played with previous, and they added Stephen Pearson through preseason. Colin Falvey came in through preseason. These guys had all, it made it so easy for me to look forward to it, because these guys had all had a similar upbringing to me, coming through the UK system. And obviously the way we're brought up over here, it's very, very in-depth, the way training goes and how hard preseasons are and whatnot. So these guys coming in, it made it so much easier for me to adapt, because going to the other side of the world, not knowing anybody, is not easy at all.
And suddenly you found a family in Kochi. It took you a while before you had your first home game. I think it was FC Goa, where Milagres scored the winner against FC Goa for Kerala Blasters. That was the first experience that you would have had of the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium at Kallur in Kochi. And obviously that takes me to the next question about from Sandesh Naughty Dream 46, who asks a word about Manyapada and Kerala Blasters, because that was your first experience really of what Kochi had to offer to the Hero ISL.
Well, I actually missed that game. I was out with my back. I tweaked my back on one of the games we were playing, so I was actually sat up in the director's box. But the roar when Milagres scored that goal was just, it made everyone just sort of sit up and realize, like, listen, okay, this is insane. This deserves success, and it was incredible. And I don't think I've been in the stadium when it's been anything but incredible. And that's saying a lot, being over the 4 seasons I was out there, or 5 seasons I was out there. It's hard to say in words. It's just, especially when they're behind you, when you come in there and it's like even playing for ATK when we played ISL 3 final there.
Yeah,
it was so hard to play there because there was just deafening. You couldn't hear the players 10 feet away from you. You had to shout to people that were stood next to you, and it's a tough place to go and play when you're on the opposition team. But when they're behind you, it's just incredible.
and of course, then you move to ATK. Much to the disbelief of Kerala Blasters fans, not that it meant that they stopped loving you in any way, because you were to come back to Kerala eventually in season 4. But just about ATK, Antonio was a huge success in terms of the football that you guys played, and personally for you in terms of your goal returns and your contribution. But the trophy never came. What was the journey like from season 2 to season 3 in pursuit of that first ever ISL title?
Well, we kept a big portion of our team together from ISL 2. I think ISL 2, our team was arguably the best team that's been in the ISL. And that's, okay, it's a little bit just me looking at my team and thinking, you know what, we're the best. But I genuinely think on paper and on the field, we played some of the best football, attractive football, but we had that little bit extra, and we had one bad game that season. So for them to make sure they kept the mainstay of that team together going into ISL 3, I think that was a key to our success, was keeping the likes of Borja, Nato, myself, bringing Helder back, because he had a point to prove after hurting his hamstring in the opening game of ISL.
First game.
Bringing these players back and then adding a little bit extra. Bringing in like masterstroke, bringing in Kike Sereno. The guy was incredible for us. I just think it gave us that little bit extra. And okay, our people will say we didn't play as attractive football as we did in ISL 2, but that comes with managerial changes. We brought in a goalkeeper in Molina as our coach.
Yeah.
Who naturally is going to be concentrating on defensive football. And I think you look at our defense through ISL 3, I think our defense was one of the best that's been around. I think we had everything. And when you're competing with teams like, you look at the final of the ISL and ISL 3, Kerala versus ATK. I think you look at it, and I think we'd probably be two of the 3 best defenses in the league with I think Mumbai that year. So defenses more often than not win medals. Yeah, they that's what it is, and have that little bit extra going forward with myself. Helder was playing well that season. Duty was still there. We had a team that, okay, we did the gritty side, but we knew that when we had the opportunities going forward, we were gonna flourish, and I think we obviously proved it in the end. It wasn't the prettiest of finals for the average Joe watching from home, but it was a game of two teams who didn't want to lose.
Correct. And Debaria Som had a question. I'm guessing he's an ATK fan. He wanted to know, one, the difference that you found between the coaching of, say, Antonio Lopez Habas and Jose Molina in season 2 and 3, rather seasons of 2015 and 2016. And secondly, which is your favorite memory of playing for ATK, apart from obviously winning the trophy?
The difference was, I think, Antonio Habas is a lot more intense. A lot of people criticize him for this because you see him from the sidelines, but if you see him in training, he's very intense with how he does things. Everything is 100 miles an hour in training, but it's everything is planned from day one in preseason all the way through to the final day. And Molina, like I said, he did a lot of defensive work, a lot of shape, and it was, without disrespect, it was boring at times, but it got results, so you can't argue it. As far as the best moments, I think we had quite a few at ATK. Even though we won this season playing in the different stadium in ISL 3, I think playing in Salt Lake, I think the atmosphere from the second semi-final against Chennai in ISL 2 was possibly the best atmosphere and I'm going to say on par with with playing in Kerala for the finals and even the semi-finals in ISL 1 against Chennai. I think the atmospheres for those two games have been the best I've witnessed in my career, let alone just in India. And to score that goal and hear the stadium erupt in the second semi-final against Chennai was probably the most explosive reaction to a goal I've witnessed. To be honest, it was incredible.
Is that your favorite professional goal? Yes or no?
I think for the build-up, yes, for everything, for the Gavilan to me to Lekic back to me, everything was one touch, and it was perfect for me.
It's certainly one of my favorites. If I were to pick one, if I had a gun to my head, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick that one that you scored for ATK. But that's because I wouldn't have time to exercise too many options, Yumi. But that's just the love for you. And speaking of the love, of course, there was a lot of love for you when you came back to Kochi to play the final. Ironically for ATK, and you love Kerala Blasters so much that you decided not to score against them or even convert your penalty. Just tell us a little bit about that final, the atmosphere, the reception. Playing in Kochi but against Kerala.
It's always nice to go back there. It's the fans. I always get the same reception. Like you've seen it when I went back doing the punditry. The reactions was incredible as well. And to play the final there, I'd had a couple chances of scoring in the league, in ISL 2 and in ISL 3, and then to get to the finals, I was kind of sort of squashed out by Sandesh and Hughesy before he went off, and it was a tough game for me. But then, obviously, like you said, I just didn't want to score. I didn't want to upset the following, so I decided it was right to miss my penalty as well, and I left it to others to win it for us.
Yeah, Savjeet coming to the rescue there. And Cedric Ongbat, I think, missed the penalty, didn't he? I mean, despite having a cracking season with Kerala Blasters. We'll get to a chat about him as well as time goes along, because I've got a few tasks for you today, including picking an all-time ISL 11. And if the viewers are listening to this, I'd love you guys to help me out as well with the all-time ISL 11. You can pick a foreigner one or an Indian one. We'll come to that in a bit, Humi. But after winning that season with ATK, you moved back to Kerala. What prompted that move, back to where you first started in the Hero ISL? And what was that journey like?
Well, it was a strange one, because after winning the ISL and having done so well with ATK, they broke their partnership with Atletico Madrid, and they came back. And listen, I'm not showing any amount of greed or anything. I'm not on, and never have been on, as much money as a lot of players in that league. But they come back offering me a massive reduction in my wage. I'm like, we've just won the league. I'm settled here. Things are going well. And they're like, oh, well, we can't go higher than whatever. And I said, well, I can't do it. I said, I'll just explore other options. And then I had the choice at the time. It was, I'd had a good long conversation with Sergio Lobero, walking around my garden, having a talk with him. So I'd spoken to him and I'd spoken to Kerala. And I think as soon as Kerala came in and the option to go back was on, I met up with René Muhlenstein, drove out towards his place and had a good conversation with him, and he talked me through how we had things planned. And as soon as that happened, it was a matter of, okay, well, let's get the contract sorted. And then again, it was all up in the air, because they ummed and awed, and the management team at the time at Kerala, they stopped answering texts and phone calls, and no offers were made. So it ended up being you know what, I'm going to go out and speak to people, because then Jamshedpur came in, started talking, and Goa were still talking, and so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go out. The draft was out there. I thought, rather than do things over the phone, let's do things in person. We came out to the draft in Mumbai. Me and my agent, Baljit Rihal, we came out and we sat down with people. We had good conversations with everybody, and being able to speak to people face to face. Spoke to Pune, spoke to Goa, spoke to Jamshedpur, and then ultimately at the end of the day, I think Kerala realised that there was other interests. So they sat down, I spoke to them and Mr. Prasad, the owner. We had a good conversation and we got things sorted in the end.
You're the first overseas player to have played the first 5 seasons. So from Kerala, you went to Pune, of course. But I just wanted to know, now that we finished the season, 2019-20 as well, the 6th season of the ISL, and Navneet had a question as well about how it has evolved. We saw players like Mendoza and Dos Santos in seasons 2015, 2014, respectively. The younger foreigners were coming through. And I know you always told me that there's nothing wrong with older foreigners being a part of the Hero ISL, including yourself. But just in terms of the way you've seen the league develop, I mean, Thierry came as somebody in his mid-20s, Rafael Augusto came in his mid-20s, but now the likes of Thapa and Borges are having to, compete with the younger foreigners like Bumu to be able to keep their place.
I think competition is healthy. If everyone you're getting, and it's not just the competition, it's the continuity and having teams that aren't changing all the time. So you look at, you bring in a 35-year-old centre midfielder, a 35, 36-year-old striker. How many years is he going to be there? He's going to be there 1 year, maybe 2. You bring in a 25, 26, 27-year-old player, and you put him alongside the likes of a Tapa or a Roland or a Lenny or somebody like that in your midfield. You can potentially keep them together for the next 4 or 5 years. That for the benefit of your Tapas and Rolands and all this. And like you asked Sander Shingen, you think him playing alongside one centre-half 1 year, then another centre-half the next year, and then another centre-half the next year. You ask him what he'd prefer, if he'd rather have a centre-half playing next to him who's going to be there for 4 or 5 years. 100% he'd say the same thing. Because the continuity and the partnerships that you can create, I think it's only for the benefit of all of Indian football, because you continue to play, like you look at the progression of Lenny over the last couple of years. It's been incredible. But that's playing alongside these players. You've got your Jahus, you've got your Bumus, you've got your Edu Garcia or your Edu Badias, and these players playing around him, they've made him into such a better player. Not saying he wasn't a good player, but these have made him into a better player, knowing kind of his role in the team is, listen, let's just do these things. And if we do it, the continuity of how we play and the progression and the consistency of how we play, you see the benefit. And I think that's, listen, it'd be, in an ideal world, bringing in 23, 24, 25-year-old players and keeping them for 4 or 5 seasons. I think that would be the perfect picture. But bringing in your older players for the odd older player for your 1, 2, 3 seasons, I think it shows where these players have been. Like you telling me having Borja Fernandez for 3 seasons wasn't beneficial to the league? The guy was incredible. You think myself being there for 5 seasons, okay, I came in when I was 30, but I think I've helped progress a lot of players through my time as well. It's got to be varied, and I think for the future of the game, I think bringing in younger players is better for long term, but bringing in the older players, I think it's definitely beneficial for young Indian players for short term gains.
And what did you make of season 2019-20 in particular, Hume, with what you've been saying in terms of the level of skill and the clearly, the speed, and as far as endurance is concerned of players, you've seen a progression right through.
Yeah, 100%,
into this season.
100%, and I think that comes down from training methods, from the infrastructure of the league on a whole. I think the way the training sessions, and okay, they maybe don't own their training grounds, but they're training in the same areas all the time. They're not having to change training grounds every couple of weeks, and I think this season, I think was a great season to watch. Okay, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see all the games, but I've seen a vast majority of them, and I think the quality is there to be seen, especially from the Indian players coming through. And I think you're now senior Indian players were the younger ones when I first came over, so it's great to see them flourishing and becoming mainstays in teams rather than impact subs.
We also had a guy called Nuno Silva who joined us from Portugal, and he sends you all his love. You remember him from your studio stints during the Hero ISL when you were doing some punditry as well. But we spoke about the Hero ISL, but in terms of Indian football, and you played with alongside and against so many young Indian players. How do you see Indian football progressing from the first time you landed in Indian shores to where Indian football finds itself now, Hume?
I think it's come a long way, and I think that in itself comes with you look at the world rankings. They've popped up so quick. Okay, they've had a little bit of a lull over the last year, but obviously that comes with not playing games, and your games are so far apart. But I think you look at the squad now. You look at the starting lineups now. When you've got Sunil's still in there, but you've got Udanta's a young kid, Ashik's a young kid. You've got Tapa coming through. You've got these players. I think for me, one boy who should be in there soon after the season he's just had, probably Adas will be in there. He's still mid-20s. You got Pritam. Sandesh is going to be hungry to come back now after his knee injury, and he's already a leader. So I think it's set up very, very well for the next 4 or 5 years. I think they'll have the mainstay of a squad. If Sunil's going to keep plugging on, the guy's a machine, so he's going to keep going. So I think they're in a very good spot right now. I still think there's a long way to go because the AFC is such a hard confederation to get out of, and I think it's going to be tough. But with the setup over the next couple of years, with Stinach coming in, I think if he's given time, I think he's definitely got an opportunity to be onto something special.
You spoke of the national team. Of course, you represented Canada a fair few times as well and scored some memorable goals, including many during the World Cup qualifiers of 2014, Hume. What is the experience like of playing internationally, and how can you pass on some of that wisdom to guys trying to push through to the national team here in India?
It's very, very different in playing in Central America. It's carnage. Like, you go to away games and you're playing against the likes of Honduras and Jamaica and Mexico, US. It's tough places to go, but playing for your country is always an honor, like regardless where it is. And I think that's something that players need to make sure they remember. It's not just another game. You're playing for your shirt. Like, a lot of players are the same playing for their club, and you seem to get a lot more out of them playing for their club. But the best thing is pulling on that jersey to represent your country is you've got millions and millions and millions of people following you. And I think it's something that you've got to grab with both hands and make sure you give it your all. And okay, you're not always going to get the results, but I think you've got to make sure that you don't leave anything out on the pitch. You make sure you come off the pitch near dead, essentially. Like, that's it. You are playing for your country, and at the end of the day, there's nothing bigger.
All right, we've spoken extensively now, all the way from starting your career with Tranmere Rovers to ATK, Kerala. A lot of fans from Pune, a lot of fans from Northeast Goa also sending you a lot of love, Hume. We'll get to the all-time ISL 11 as well, but I wanted to play a rapid-fire round with you, which I'm going to call a one-touch Let's Football round, so that I can get in as many questions as possible. So you're only allowed a word or a sentence at the maximum to be able to answer these. You ready to go with this?
Yeah, go on.
All right. Vasudev Minar had a question. Who's the best striker in Hero ISL? All time.
All time? I won't say myself, so Skoro, sorry.
Skoro, fair enough. Ashish, Mr. Ash Martin says, Helder Postiga or Dimitar Berbatov?
Helder Postiga, 10 times.
All right. And 11th possibly as well. Banishka Mangeshkar says, who's your inspiration?
I have a lot of inspirations. I'd say my dad. Been fighting MS for 35 years.
We wish him all the best, Hume. And next one, Raghu, Higher Match 1335 says, who's your favorite Indian mate to play alongside?
My favorite Indian mate? Oh, Sandesh.
Play alongside. You're going to...
Sandesh.
Okay. Siddharth Bose says, best moment in your football life. A sentence is fine.
Winning promotion at Doncaster last day. For Doncaster last day of season.
All right. Ashish comes up with another question. Says, if you have a chance to play alongside CR7 or LM10, I don't think he means Leo Mora or Luka Modric, who would you choose?
I'd never be on the same level. So if I get to think about that, then I'll pick whoever gets given to me.
Okay, fine. Hussein Zigzag Hussein, says, Dear Hume, any other ISL club you would have liked to play for?
I think it's hard to say now, but I think it would have been interesting if I'd have signed for Goa in ISL 4. I think it would have been interesting when they brought in Koro and they had Lanzarote there. I think it would have been interesting to play there.
Yeah, and Jahu as well. A massive fan
and Jahu, sorry.
And Jahu. So, Lunatic Broy says, best coach you played under?
In India?
Anywhere. Or you can say India if you want.
In India, 100% Habas.
All right. Twice the winner of the ISL. Mohammad Hajib asks, who was your toughest opponent in ISL? Team or player, either you can name.
Cedric Hensbroth, when he played for Northeast and when he played for Kerala. Horrible.
He kicked you a few times.
Horrible. Just his brain. His brain was so
all right. Yeah. Swali says he hopes to see you once again in Kochi. There have been plenty of these kind of messages that have been coming as well. Never know, as a TV pundit, maybe, Hume. If not for Kerala Blasters again. Cheyenne says, which hat-trick was most memorable for Ian? Let's remind Cheyenne that he scored 3. So 2 for ATK and 1 for KBFC. Am I right, Hume?
Yeah. I think my first one, obviously, again, in Mumbai, was the most important for me when I had so many doubters because I hadn't scored yet, and then I scored 3.
Yeah. Right. And the last one, Arpan Rico says, Kolkata or Kochi?
No choice. I would have
said Kochi.
Yeah, Kochi. There you go. I'm not choosing. I have good friends in both cities and great memories in both cities.
All right, fine. Let's see how well you know about yourself in the Hero ISL as well. Since we're done with the one-touch Let's Football, where you didn't do too badly at all, although I expected you to say Leo Messi. But right. You finished second on the goal-scoring charts in each of the opening 3 seasons. You know that. I didn't have to remind you, but I had to also. Who finished above you in each of those 3 seasons?
In each of them, first season was Alano. Second season was Mendoza. Third season was... Wow.
Your former teammate.
Who was my former teammate? I had like a sieve. Oh, wow.
Maybe some of these guys can help you out.
ISL 3. Who was... Oh, Marcelino, sorry.
There you go.
Marcelino, because...
All right, now you spoke about your hat-tricks. Among your 3 hat-tricks in the Hero ISL, which was the fastest in terms of minutes?
Sorry, go on. I you broke up.
You had 3 hat-tricks. Sorry, you've had the most number of hat-tricks for a player in the Hero ISL, but which one was the fastest in terms of minutes? Marco answered that question about Marcelino, by the way. Thanks, Marco.
Cheers, Marco. In terms of minutes, I would say, oh, wow. Pune, against Pune, ATK, second one?
No, the one you like the most versus Mumbai, 47 minutes playing for ATK in season 2.
Oh, nice. Okay.
There you go. Okay, third question. How many sides have you failed to score against in the Hero ISL? One I've already given you, Kerala Blasters. Which are the other 2 that you haven't scored against?
Jamshedpur, Bengaluru.
That's out of the ones you faced. Well done. How many headed goals have you scored in the Hero ISL? Would you believe that? So that's 28 goals in the Hero ISL, but not a single header or not a single headed goal.
Nope, not one, which is crazy.
And am I right that your first ever professional goal was a header?
Front post, Tranmere Rovers, Peterborough, Pretton Park.
Look, they all count. I wouldn't read too much into that. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so that's your fourth question. In which stadium have you scored your personal best tally of goals in the Hero ISL, and how many? In which stadium?
I think it's in Delhi. Am I right or no? Oh wow.
The answer is 8. Where have you scored 8?
In Salt Lake.
Do you know the name that Salt Lake has, apart from Salt Lake, of course?
No, I can't remember.
No, that wasn't a part of the plan. The Vivekananda Yuva Bharati Kreenangan or the Salt Lake Stadium.
Okay.
Right. The next one. How many players have scored more penalties in? Well, you already know this, I think. How many players have scored more penalties than you in the Hero ISL?
Sunil, for sure. Is the other one
that's
Bart?
one. Nope. Gonna go again.
Bart? Oh, whoa, Elano? No.
You have 7. Sunil has 10.
Who else takes a load of penalties? Bart? No.
Think about it.
Koro?
Koro it is. 48 goals in the Hero ISL, 8 of them penalties.
Oh,
yeah, but I mean, 8's not bad. So you have 7, Koro 8, and Chetri 10. Who broke your record for the most appearances by an overseas player, which was 69 matches till you held on to it? Rafael Augusto it is, yeah. When he was playing for BFC, I think, against Mumbai.
Yeah.
Then which game did you collect your last card in the Hero Eyes? How many cards would you have picked up? I don't remember you getting sent off ever. Or did you get sent off? No, you never.
No, I never get sent off. Plenty of yellow cards though.
Yeah. When did you collect your last card in the Hero ISL?
Be almost certain my last game. Whoever my last game was against. My last game was against Mumbai, no? So I'd say Mumbai.
Nope. I'll give you one more chance.
Go on.
It's Delhi Dynamos. Pune's second last Hero ISL game. There was a 3-1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
Guess the player you fouled.
See, I'm normally quite good at this. I didn't think this was coming up. I have no idea.
Narayan Das. You pushed him away and you got a yellow card.
Yeah. He took the ball and I remember. I ducked down, stood up and pushed him. Yeah, I remember. Great.
Look, I had to make sure you live up to the billing of Mr. ISL, as fans affectionately call you, Hume, because I had to ask you all these questions. And now we'll swiftly move on to your all-time ISL 11. So who have you got? And let's see if the viewers can help you out here a little bit as well. Who do you have? Let's go with a formation first, and then who's in goal?
I'm going with a diamond formation, 4 at the back, diamond, 2 up front.
Okay, fair enough.
As you told me, I have to include myself, which I probably would have anyways.
Yes, I'd like you to include yourself, please. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so at the back, it was a toss-up between Adel, Bete, and Gurpreet. I've gone with Gurpreet. Across the back line, I've gone with Pritam, right back. Sandesh.
Pritam, right back.
Sandesh Stringen, centre back, with Cedric Hengebard.
Mm-hmm.
Left back, Thierry. I know it's going to have question marks about Thierry playing left back, but he did it a couple times with ATK and he has a wand of a left foot. So for me, it's perfect.
Okay, you're going to make him run.
Nah, we're playing the diamond. We're letting the midfielders and the attackers do all the work. Let Pritam do all the running. I've got Jahu sitting in front of the back 4 because the guy can just pass to anybody anywhere. And in front of him and my captain is Borja. Alongside him, Maluda. Because although he was only there for the season, he was incredible. And honestly, a different level to anybody that's been there. He just had this drive and determination to go along with his quality. And then in front of them, got myself or Sunil. Depending on where Sunil wants to play, I'll leave it to him.
That's generous.
And then Koro up front with me or Sunil, whichever way. So we'll have the 2 strikers, let Koro sit on the back line. He can go and get in behind and me and Sunil can run around him. So that's my 11. I think there's plenty of goals in there and plenty of quality on the ball. And I think with the coach, I think I'd have to go, like I said, with Habas. He'd be my coach
He's
for
your
the
favorite
team.
coach.
Yeah, and that's,
plenty of leaders in this all-time ISL 11 as well. And I wonder what the viewers think of this. So please do give your feedback about Ian Hume's 11. Let's see how many of you agree with his 11. And if you don't, who would you pick instead of some of the players that he's picked? The only condition I'd put is that if you're arguing against Ian Hume's 11, make sure you have him in the 11.
got to.
Yeah, so a couple of leaders as well in that. Is that how you're looking at this as well? More leadership on the pitch in this?
I think it's not the main reason, but you look at the team that I've picked. I think you look at, like you said, they are all leaders. I think you've got Jahu, who might not have captained as many times, or Koro, but these guys are leaders by example. They do their job to the highest of their potential and the highest of their ability. And then you look, I've captained at times, Sunil obviously, and then you've got Borja Maluda, they're born captains. Pritam, captain of Delhi. Then you've got...
And then Kolkata as well.
And then Kolkata, you've got Chiri, captain of Jamshedpur. You've got Sandesh and Cedric, 2 born captains. And they've got to win everything. Whether it's training, whether it's games, whether it's any game of cards, whatever, they have to win. And then you have Gurpreet. He hasn't captained as many times, but he's captain when Sunil's not there. And he's a leader in himself, and you can see how vocal he is. I think that's something that's more important to me, is how vocal people are and how much they make sure everyone around them does well. And I think that team there sets that up.
Fantastic. And do you want to tease us with an Indian all-time 11 as well? Or is that a bridge too far at the moment?
No, I could come up with one. Because I've got Gurpreet in my other one, I'm going to swap him.
Why not? Let's go ahead and as well, shall we?
Well, I'll not put guys that are in my all-time 11. So that's going to be hard. I'll test myself there. Actually, you know what? Sandesh has to be in it. But I'll put...
That was a very quick change of mind.
Yeah. I'm Amrinder in goal. So I've got Amrinder in goal. I've got left back. I've got Jerry, left back.
Jerry?
Yeah. I've got...
Jerry, Mandar, Jerry?
Ooh. No, sorry, Jerry. Mandar. I've got Mandar in.
I've got nothing against Jerry. I just thought Mandar has been a captain and is probably the most capped Indian in the Hero ISL as well, possibly.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, Mandar in. I've got Prabir Das, right back. I've got Sandesh, like I said, and Raul Beke, centre backs. Then I'll go into the midfield. I've got Roland, Lenny, Tapa as my midfield 3. And then I'll have Changte. I've got to have Sunil in there. I can't not have Sunil.
So that's 2 again from
two guys that are irreplaceable ever.
Okay.
So Sunil's got to be in there, and then there's going to be a lot of question marks about this one. But for me, because I've worked with him day in, day out as a striker, and I know what he can give, and I'm going to get a lot of stick. But for me, I'm putting him in here as Robin. Everyone's going to hammer me for that. But for me, I've seen how hard he works. And some people will say there are better players. That's fine. But for me, I know how hard he works, and I would put him in there.
I can never forget the goal Robin scored when you gave him the perfect assist off the upright, and it went straight into his path. And, Robin made no mistake. I think he scored a brace in that game, Robin Singh, as well. So why not?
Hey, he did. That was Jamshedpur away, where I don't think anyone had beaten him up like that, but we did.
Right, so Robin, Sunil, and Changte, you said, leading the line for you. So your front 3, Thapa, Roland, Lenny in the middle. And at the back, you've got Rahul Beke, Sandesh Jingan, you've got Mandar Rao Desai, and you said Pritam.
Yeah.
You said Pritam?
Yeah.
And in goal, you've got Amrinder Singh.
No.
Who's the coach?
Prabir Das. not Pritam.
Prabir Das. Okay, Prabir Das, because you don't want to repeat the names.
Yeah. Who's my coach? I've got an Indian coach.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I'll go for the future. I'll go for Wadu as my new coach.
All right. So Maharajuddin Wadu to coach this all-time India 11 by Ian Hume. Fantastic. We're coming to the end of this almost, Hume. And time's absolutely flown by. But there was a question that came in from the stadium YT, which was, what are his future plans? Does he intend to stay in touch with Indian football? And I'll ask you another one because it's similar. Ajit 101 had asked, do you want to return to ISL as a coach or as a player?
To be honest, at the moment, although it's not official and confirmed, it looks like the playing days are over. So I've been out of the game for a year, which is near impossible to come back from, especially at my age. So I'm concentrating on the next steps. So I'm working on my coaching badges. I've just finished my UEFA B. I'm looking to do my A probably next year. I'm just enjoying at the moment time at home, to be honest. It's something I've not had over the last 6 years. So I'm looking to get into the coaching as soon as I can after this, all the quarantine and that's done. And then who knows where that'll bring me. I need to learn. I need to learn how to be a coach. I've been a player for 20 years. Well, 20, including youth, probably 30, 34, 33 years, bloody heck.
Yeah.
So although I've been playing that long, I'm not a coach. I'm not naive. I'm not thinking I'm going to walk into being a coach like that. Like, you see how many players who walk into being coaches and fail. So I want to learn how to be a coach first, before progressing to any sort of higher level. So my aim right now is to learn that side of it. I'm gonna do that over the next year or two, see how well that goes, and if that goes well, then the sky's the limit. I don't know where I want to go and where I'll want to be. So I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years, but I think in the next couple of years I'll be plying my trade as a coach somewhere, probably, along with doing my punditry and my TV work with my good friends at Star Sports, if they'll still have me. And we'll see what the future brings. And it's a sort of two-sided thing right now. It's the kind of heartache of knowing I'm not going to be playing again, or the likelihood that I'm not going to be playing at any sort of high level again. But it's the excitement of trying to figure out where I want to be as a coach and what level I want to get to as a coach. And I'm looking forward to that because I know I have so much to offer people.
I'm sure you'll find a way, because there's one man I trust to always find a way. That is Ian Hume. He's sitting right in front of me at the moment. But just one last thing, Hume, a lot of fans have shown so much love to you over the years, and not just in the UK and Canada, I'm sure, but also particularly in India since you first came to the Hero ISL. Your message to the Manyapara ATK fans, the Orange Army of Pune City, and to Hero ISL Indian football fans at large, what would you like to tell them?
I'm just eternally grateful. I never would have imagined having such a fan base as I have over the last 6 seasons, and to have created that along with yourselves is something that I'll never forget. And I just want to. I think the easiest way to say it is just thank you. I think it's the biggest support I've ever had in my career, and I've played elsewhere for the best part of it. So to come out there and to create something special like that is something I'll never ever forget. And I don't think any other way, like I said, to say other than thank you is, yeah, no need to get emotional, but it's no, seriously, it's something special, and that's something that I'll never ever forget.
Mr. ISL, as you can see from all the yellow hearts coming in, the fans will continue to love you in whatever capacity you decide to come back to Indian football, as a coach, as a player, or even as a pundit, maybe in a packed stadium in Kochi or at the Salt Lake one day. So we'll see you very shortly.
I'd love to.
Thanks, Hume, for joining us on this episode. Stay home, stay safe, and we'll meet very, very soon.
Pleasure as always, Anand. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys, for joining us on this episode. As you can see, an absolute Hero ISL legend joined us on this. To all the Kerala, ATK, and Hero ISL fans who joined us, thank you very much once again. Keep your questions coming. As you can see, Ian Hume picked his all-time ISL 11 and also did us a favor by picking up an all-time India 11 in the Hero ISL. So why don't you chime in with yours as well, and let us know if you agree or disagree with Mr. ISL, Ian Hume. We'll see you for another episode of Let's Football Live, surely. Until then, keep the questions coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.